Hello, everyone. I am trying something brand new today, and I'm going to be looking at two different cameras. I'm actually going live on Facebook and Instagram to share something that I'm starting in my new group today. Now, if you've noticed any of the posts I had, and for those of you that don't know me and never followed me before, my name is Lori Hoy. Anyway, I have a group starting today called the 21 Days of Gratitude. And so each day of the group, I am sharing with them a prompt. And this is really going to be difficult because I feel bad that I'm not I want to see how I can feel like I'm not staring in the right spot and I don't know. This is going to be weird. Anyway, that's not going to work. Okay, so what I did on Instagram yesterday is I asked my viewers over there or followers if they would respond if I shared the prompt. So about 75% of the people that responded said, yeah, they probably would. And I even gave them the out, probably. Totally, you don't have to. It's just something that I wanted to do because I know right now in my life, with things that are going on, I need to cultivate a more robust gratitude practice. How's that sound? And so, yes, there are a lot of things that I am grateful for in my life, but I think that some of us, at times, we take things for granted. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for you. I take things for granted. And by cultivating a practice where you're actually verbalizing or writing it down or whatever, you certainly have a better chance of it ingraining itself in you and it becoming a practice. And you don't have to search so hard for something that you're grateful for, even if you are stuck in a swirl of a storm that you just don't feel like you can get out of. Okay. So what I told my followers on Instagram is that I'm going to come in here every single day and I'm going to share my response to the prompt. Okay, so this is going to force me to actually, one, come in here every single day for the next 21 days, and two, it's going to force me to think back and to not always think back, but just think about what I'm grateful for or a grateful time in my life. So a lot of times I think what I thought was a gratitude journal is, okay, pick 5 things that you're grateful for and boom, 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 and write them down. And I started that way, and I still think that there's a place for that. But I feel like for me, it just wasn't working. I felt like I had to have 5, and if I couldn't think of 5, that I was failing myself somehow. And sometimes in our lives, I think that sometimes we can only really think through and find one thing that we're grateful for. And that's not a bad thing. I don't think there's any right or wrong to it. I think it's just trying to take a look at your life and find the things that you're truly grateful for. And so through practicing things like I'm going to be sharing in my group, I think it's going to help me think beyond just the everyday stuff. And not that the everyday stuff isn't great. Like, I know I am grateful for the fact that I have a house and, all those things. But I want to think beyond that. I want to encourage you or to challenge you to think beyond just those things that we always know that everybody wants to hear. Does that make sense? And so I invite you guys to do it with me. If you don't want to, by all means, it's totally up to you. And I have invited my Instagram followers to send me a message with their response. I also invite you on Facebook to do the same, whether you want to share it in the comments of this live broadcast or the replay, or whether you want to instant message, direct message me, whatever. I'm using all the wrong terminology. I mean, it used to be instant message, and now it's direct message and PM and DM and all these abbreviations. So anyway, so I'm not going to read any comments right now, but I promise you that I will respond. But anyway, today is day 1 of the 21 Days of Gratitude in the group that I'm hosting on Facebook. And if you're interested in finding out more information about that group, you always can message me and we'll talk about it and I can share with you what goes on. For those of you that are new to following me, I am an online health and wellness coach. I'm also a dance fitness instructor. I own my own fitness center. I'm a former teacher. So I believe that I have found that my life is supposed to be a life of service and helping people achieve their goals and dreams and whatnot. So, and as well as me trying to also do the same for myself. So anyway, day one today is describe one of your happiest childhood memories. Okay, so I had to kind of sit with this one a little bit because there's a lot. There's a lot of things that I can think of in my childhood that were happy, and I can also think of some times that weren't so happy, but we're not going to focus on those. So one of the things that I'm going to focus in on today that happened in my family is my mother she has a rather big family. There were 7 kids in total. And when we were growing up, holidays were, we spent at my grandmother's, okay? And you didn't say no, and not in a bad way, but you didn't say no, you always were there, whatnot. And so one of my happiest childhood memories is every single year, as much as when we were kids, we didn't like this, but as I think back, I think I really did like it, is that we would do these skits for my grandparents. So my mom has 5 sisters and has one brother who passed away several years ago, unfortunately. So there were, like I said, there were 7, and not all of the families were local, but majority of the families were. So you can imagine how many cousins and things there were. So my mother's maiden name is Fave, F-A-V-E. So they made us do the Fave Cousins Choir. Okay, so every year, and I don't even know, I'd have to ask my mom and my aunts how many years this happened, because I don't know. I mean, when you're a kid, you think it happens forever, and it really doesn't, because our perspective is so different. But every single year, we would perform for my grandmother. We would put on skits, we would learn songs, and Christmas songs, and we would just perform for them. And I can remember back to that time. I mean, I was small, like, I don't even know when we stopped. Probably when my grandmother passed away when I was 10. So I would imagine now that I think of that perspective, it probably didn't go on as long as in my mind it did. But we would just do little skits. We would my aunts and my obviously my mom was part of that. They would also do some things together too. And I remember just singing songs and having family time. And I still to this day remember my grandmother's face, her smile every time, all of us grandkids. And I'd have to sit down and think about how many there were at the time. There were a lot of us around the same age, my age, 1 year or 2 years older, but there was a good majority of us that were that age. And so every single year we would put on costumes. We'd do these little skits for my grandmother and her husband at the time, who wasn't my grandfather, but he was, my grandfather died. This isn't meant to be sad, but my grandfather on my mother's side passed away about a month before I was born, so I never got to meet him. But my grandmother remarried to a wonderful man who actually lived here in Lock Haven, not far from where I live, which is kind of cool because I ride past that house almost every single day, which is neat for me. But that was one of my happiest times, I believe, in my childhood was during the holidays. And it was usually Christmas that we would put on these skits, the Christmas songs, and just, my grandmother would be elated. She would be so stinking happy, and we would have a good time. Even, like I said, even as kids, we were like, oh, we have to do this again. But it really, truly was one of the happiest memories I have of my childhood, because I believe it was all of our family together, and we were just doing this really cool thing to make my grandmother happy, and it did. And so I just really, truly remember how joyful she was and happy that she was. So anyway, now thinking back, that doesn't make me sad. It really does make me happy, and I hope to carry out my day thinking of that. And so when something gets tough, and I think this is why I wanted to do this gratitude practice this way, is I think that's going to carry me through my day when, something tough or challenging comes in my way. I can always go back and remember that time when I was a child and doing the Fave Cousins Choir. And there's been some talk, I think, in the last few years of trying to reprise the Fave Cousins Choir, but I'm not sure that will happen. We're all kind of spread out, and but that's just the way life goes, and we're still, you know, there are many of us that are still in contact with one another, which is kind of cool too. So anyway, I would love to hear your stories, guys. If you're like I said, if you're in my group, I offered for them to share or not share. It's totally up to them. And two, I'm going to offer you the same thing. I would love to hear your stories of the happiest times of your childhood for today. That was the prompt for today in the group. So like I said, you can either comment on the video. If you're on Instagram though, I think you have to send me a DM or it'll disappear. I'm not sure because I'm not really No, I don't really think it stays. So anyway. I hope you guys are having a great Monday. I think I'm going to have a better one than I thought I was, just because I had that memory. And I'm actually going to take some time though and write that down in my journal, even though I said it out loud to you first. Because I also think that there's a really important component, knowing the research that I know from my career as a teacher, that when you put things to pen and paper, you know, just kind of one more modality. I'm speaking it to you. I'm also feeling it emotionally, and now I'm going to write it. And so it's definitely something that's going to stick with me for a lot longer. So especially if it's new information. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great Monday, and I will see you tomorrow with tomorrow's day 2 of the 21 Days of Gratitude prompts. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.